Έχουμε την τιμή να βρίσκεται μαζί μας εκπροσωπώντας την Ευρωπαϊκή Επιτροπή για να μας μιλήσει για όλες τις πολιτικές και στρατηγικές που η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση διαμορφώνει για να μπορέσουν να γίνουν πραγματικότητα όλες αυτές όλα αυτά τα κριτήρια και αρχές που αναφέραμε στη συνέχεια. Τον κύριο Κουν Νόμντεν, ο οποίος είναι προϊστάμενος του Τμήματος Δεξιοτήτων και Προσόντων της Διεύθυνσης Επαγγελματικής Εκπαίδευσης, Κοινωνικών Θεμάτων και Συνοχής της Ευρωπαϊκής Επιτροπής.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the invitation this morning. I really enjoyed the speech by the minister and the other speeches, and also your speech, Dimitris. I think you all touched the right points. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here, and I would like to thank the organizers for organizing this conference during this weekend. Actually, I'm the team leader indeed within DG Employment for, in particular, the European Qualifications Framework, micro-credentials, guidance and validation of lifelong learning within a broader unit on skills and qualifications. What I've prepared for you this morning is a presentation on the European skills agenda, but where I also will touch the issue of qualifications and, of course, career guidance. And you will get a copy of this presentation, so I will send it afterwards to the organizers. The European Skills Agenda 2020 was adopted by the Commission in July of this year as an agenda that should help overcome, of course, the crisis, but also to support the twin transitions that are needed for European societies, namely the green transition, the digital transition. But, of course, the major crisis we currently face is that one of COVID-19, and that has at the same time accelerated the digital transition because so many people now do telework, distance learning. I think that all of you are also sitting either in your office or at home following this conference. So that means that actually in this current challenging times, we all need digital skills, and this is one of the problems currently in Europe. The pandemic, of course, as already mentioned, impacted quite dramatically labor market prospects. And there are countries, of course, and regions with the most impacted sectors like accommodation, catering, entertainment, passenger transports that will face the hardest recovery. Within the Commission, Vice President Skinas, so the Greek Commissioner, he is the one who is in charge of the skills agenda. What is a skills agenda about? It's about skills for jobs, basically. And it was prepared and adopted because Europe needs a bold skills policy for jobs. And this is important in a context of lifelong learning. There is a need for upskilling, there is a need for reskilling, there is a need to shift the skill set of workers because only through this one can achieve the twin transitions of green and digital and make sure that the recovery is sustainable and fair for all, and that no one is left behind. So the focus of the skills agenda is on strengthening competitiveness, building resilience, but also, and I think this is important also in the context of guidance, to ensure social fairness. Everybody, that's the idea, recovery is only successful if no one is left behind, and there should be equal access to upskilling. And to succeed this, there is a need for lifelong learning. This must become a reality. That means also the entire workforce, whatever level, needs to continue building their skills through attractive, innovative, and inclusive learning programs. And who talks about lifelong learning, of course, does also talk about lifelong guidance. Now, what does the skills agenda do? It calls for collective action because a skills agenda like this proposed by the Commission can only work if all partners are working towards a common goal. And by this, we mean government, we mean the social partners, employers, trade unions, but also education and training institutions. And of course, also the profession of career counselor is very important in making this a success. Also, financial means I mentioned there, you see that is of course important, but also objectives. And overall, the agenda is there to help people developing their skills throughout life and not just at the level of initial schooling. The skills agenda sets a number of objectives, and you see the objectives here on the screen. So it really aims at increasing the participation of adults in learning, and the objective is really to increase this by 32% compared to the situation in 2016. And there is a specific objective regarding participation of low qualified adults, because those are the ones that are least active in training. Currently 18%, we want to bring this up to 30. That would mean an increase of 67%. And also the share of unemployed adults that has a recent learning experience. The objective for 2025 is to have this at 20%. That seems low, but it is an increase of 82%. And then the last objective, as you see, is to improve digital skills and to achieve about 70% of adults having at least basic digital skills. The skills agenda consists basically of 4 building blocks. And I will zoom in on some of these building blocks. The 4 building blocks altogether have 12 actions. So you see it's a very broad, quite an ambitious agenda in an area, of course, skills where the EU does not have legislative competence. EU can provide policy guidance, can provide incentives, also investment, under the Recovery Fund and under the European Social Fund and under the Erasmus Plus program, for example. But apart from that, there is no legislation. So, and that means that it is a matter of working together. Now, these building blocks, as you can see here, are first of all joining forces, the Pact for Skills. Secondly, skilling for a job. That's the focus of the skills agenda. Tools for lifelong learning and unlocking investment as very important elements to make the skills agenda work. Now, if we go to the first building block of joining forces, actually this is the European Pact for Skills that was launched a few weeks ago in Berlin, and it's really a concerted effort for a quality investment in skills. It's a call for quality investment in skills, a call to the different stakeholders, to governments, but also to business, also to multinational companies to work together. It's a joint work. Public, private employers, social partners, education, training institutions, and here, of course, also the guidance profession plays an important role. Emphasis is on the most hit industrial ecosystems, and among these are, in the current crisis, in particular, the healthcare, which is under enormous pressure. Also construction, automotive, tourism, very important in Greece, and also education. Now, if we move to the second building block of skills for jobs, you see that under this building block, most of the actions can be found, namely 7 out of the 12 actions of the skills agenda. And I will zoom in on a few of these. There is no time to go to a comprehensive overview. What I would like to share with you is first the EU support that will be there for strategic national upskilling efforts. So member states are invited to set up national skill strategies, and committing for this all government departments involving also all stakeholders to make up a plan. What is the state of play of skills in the country? What needs to be done? And in the past, we have been financing actions by the OECD, and this is an action that will indeed build upon cooperation between the Commission and the OECD, and through this we will support all member states that are interested to prepare national skill strategies and to also establish or review strategies that are really helped and that are really needed, and also to support their implementation. And in this context, there is also a joining of forces with the European Network of Public Employment Services. I will zoom in also quickly on the vocational education and training. There is a new Council recommendation, a new EU recommendation that was proposed by the Commission that has already been negotiated, and there is political agreement on this. And this recommendation that comes in the place of the former EC-VET and EK-VET, so credit and quality assurance in vocational education and training. These are replaced by this new recommendation that aims at creating a more modern, more flexible, inclusive, work-based, equipping young people and adults with skills for jobs, and that should become a global reference for skills development. Also support apprenticeships, also support for platforms of centers of vocational excellence, and exploring work towards vocational profiles that are common for Europe. Then under this building block of skills for jobs, you see also actions focusing on improving digital skills in particular, and the green transition. In the meantime, a digital education action plan was already adopted by the Commission on 30 September of this year. Furthermore, under this action fall the digital skills and job service platform, jumpstart trainings in ICT, and also European Digital Skills Certificate, where work is ongoing. And on the side of the skills for the green transition, there is the competence framework on climate change and sustainable development that we are working upon, and also a taxonomy of skills for the green transition. If we now look at the third building block, I think most of you will be very interested in this building block in particular, because you will be a bit more involved, I imagine, in this building block. Those are the tools for lifelong learning. And you see here the individual learning accounts, the micro-credentials, and Europass. The European Qualifications Framework for Lifelong Learning is not explicitly mentioned here. This was already addressed in the Skills Agenda of 2016. And the European Qualifications Framework was reformed in 2017. So no specific action on that one, but the EQF is in full implementation with all the national qualifications frameworks that are related to it, with its focus on learning outcomes, with its focus also on improving the labor market relevance of education and training. So I will zoom in on these three actions, the individual learning accounts. So this is a major initiative under the Skills Agenda, where the Commission is currently exploring how individual learning entitlements, how an initiative could be set up to improve access for individuals to training, but also guidance, also validation, and to support people in managing their transitions in the labor market. So it's an action that envisages the empowerment of individuals. And of course, an individual learning account, an individual learning entitlement, for this to function, you need to be able to assess skills of somebody. There is an important role also for validation of skills. It makes no sense to send somebody on training for skills that this person already has. For example, acquired through work experience. And also guidance is extremely important to really make sure that people take indeed the right form of upskilling and reskilling. The problem we have now, and that is the reason why this initiative is there, is that many people have a lack of time for training, there is a lack of money for training, but also a lack of need awareness and a lack of information on training opportunities. So the Commission is working on this. There will be an open public consultation, impact assessment, and the aim is to have a proposal late 2021. The next one I would like to point to is an action on a European approach to micro-credentials, because we see that more and more small, shorter learning opportunities are there that can lead to shorter micro-credentials, and that typically can be used to acquire skills and that are needed also in terms of recovery from the current COVID crisis. Also here, the Commission is currently consulting with different partners and stakeholders. There will be an open public consultation early 2021, and also we aim to have a proposal for a Council recommendation to be tabled by the Commission late 2021. The third action under lifelong learning is the Europass that several among you already talked about. And the Europass already exists since 2004, but since 2020, so the 1st of July of this year, the new Europass was put in place. It went live. We have been working on this for 2 years, and it's really a modernized version of the old Europass, with a modern e-portfolio that can be used by individuals to not only to set up a CV, but it also offers several templates for cover letters, and also it offers possibilities to manage skills, really. So Europass has become, or is the European tool for career management and lifelong learning. It has 3 main components, and I will come to those. Apart from the e-portfolio, there are the Europass digital credentials. That's a new development. It's an infrastructure, a standard that we put in place, allowing, for example, education and training institutions to issue digital credentials, but also to allow, for example, for recognition bodies, a much easier recognition of qualifications. It's much easier to recognize a qualification that is available digitally, where you have all the information on the learning outcomes, than if you have a paper version of a degree, for example, and we have built in all necessary safety measures to avoid that diploma mills can make use of this. And there is an important information component, and this is important for guidance. For example, if we look at information for stakeholders, we see that there you can find the information on the European Qualifications Framework, on the national qualifications frameworks, including a comparison tool for qualifications frameworks, so that you can immediately see, okay, level 7 in Greece, to what level does it correspond, for example, in Germany or in Spain, and what qualifications are behind that level. So Europass has become the official portal of the European Qualifications Framework for lifelong learning. Also, national qualification registers are invited to connect to Europass. So this information on qualifications through Europass is shared at European level, and I'm happy to inform you that Greece is always a very active country in for this European interconnection. Also, there is information on recognition of skills and qualification, information on validation, the digital credentials, and also information you will find there, and templates for the diploma supplement, the Europass certificate supplement, Europass mobility. Interoperability is also very important. And there is, of course, information on career guidance, as you can see here. So Europass is also the tool at European level where information on career guidance is now centralized. And we have a page on guidance counseling that needs to be further developed, needs to be further rolled out, and we will work with the Euro Guidance Network and also with the Europass AG to improve information on career guidance that we have there. There are, of course, links with Euro Guidance website and with CareersNet, with the CareersNet website. But this can, needs to be also further rolled out. And if you have ideas for this, we are very much welcoming those. Yeah. But what is also important is through Europass you can find information on learning, working in Europe, access European level services, and also consult country-specific information and resources. And I think here we still have to improve country-specific information on career guidance, for example. Now, in the future, we will further develop Europass, of course, during the next years to make it really a useful portal for everybody, for lifelong learning for career guidance. We will include an application tracker, information on skills intelligence that is produced mainly by CDFOP, the agency in Thessaloniki, further rollout of digital credentials, further development of the guidance content, and so on. And there will be a digital self-assessment tool. A quick sidestep to where we stand regarding transparency of qualifications. Actually, the good news is that only 3 countries in Europe that are involved in the process of the EQF have not yet referenced their national qualifications framework or their national qualification system to the EQF. This is Spain and Bosnia-Herzegovina, Albania. And you see in pink a number of countries that has done a re-referencing. And since 2017, so that have updated the national state of play regarding the EQF. And most recently, we had Ireland that re-referenced its national framework for qualifications. So as I said before, the EQF is in full implementation. We observe that more national frameworks are becoming operational, set up registers, and under the EQF, we see an improved use of learning outcomes. This is really crucial because this makes the bridge between work and education and training so much more easy. And we see also development towards comprehensive national frameworks that include all types and levels of qualifications, including more and more qualifications from outside the education and training system. Now, for my last points, I go to the last building block, actually, of the skills agenda, which is unlocking investment. The skills agenda will only be able to work, of course, with EU funds, but also with private funds from companies and national public funds. So it's also a call actually for member states to support up and reskilling directly and to seize also the opportunity, because if you do this, there is also European money available to support it. And here is the plan for EU investment in skills that you can see. And there is the European Social Fund, Erasmus Horizon 2020. And of course, there will also be resources from the Recovery and Resilience Facility. Now, all of this will not be available immediately early 2021, because as you know, there is still no full agreement on the next 7 years of financing with a few countries threatening to block. But of course, we all hope that there will be agreement on the finances of the EU during the next 7 years. So I would like to conclude by saying that the Skills Agenda 2020 is a real call for action, a real call for action to work together for skills, to work together to do this for skills for jobs, and to have lifelong learning for all. Nobody should be left behind. So with an important role for also the guidance community and all of this in order to achieve recovery and also to achieve the green and digital transitions. So I hope that this was useful. I wish you all a very good conference. And as I said, you will get the presentation. I will send it later on. Thank you.